Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praises belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and peace and salutations be upon the final messenger, Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. My dear brothers and sisters, my dear mothers and fathers, how often and how much do we always hear this word sacrifice? If somebody does good, we say, we thank you for sacrificing your time. And if they donate wealth, we say, we thank you for sacrificing your wealth. In this particular video, I want to clear a misconception. And I want to title this video, Investment, Not Sacrifice. And to present this topic to you, I want to start off by saying the following words. We live life, and life is governed by the time that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed for us. And in this life that we live, we have wealth. But the question that we need to ask is, who is the owner of this wealth and who is the owner of this time? And the reason why I introduce this topic with this particular question, who is the owner of this wealth and who is the owner of this time? The reason is that the answer to this question is critical in understanding whether something is sacrifice or whether it's investment. If we look at our sources, we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in His book, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has purchased, has bought from the believers their wealth and their lives, their time, because He has given them Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bought this from us in exchange for Jannah. And when we ponder over this ayah, we understand immediately an important realization. And that is, Jannah is not ours to earn. Rather, Jannah is ours to lose. Jannah is already ours. And we need to tread carefully and ensure that we keep this mighty purchase that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. It is with this context that we also understand that the wealth and time that we think is ours belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is clear because we know on the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us about the wealth which we spent. And will ask us about the time that we spent. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ask us if it's ours, if we have ownership over these two entities? If we are the owners, we can do what we want, when we want, how we want. But if we are answerable over how we've utilized these two resources, then we need to clearly understand that it is not owned by us, rather it is owned by the person who will question us, or the being that will question us, and this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted us this time and granted us this wealth. He has lent it to us. He has placed it in our care. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us with regards to its correct usage. So whenever you take this wealth which Allah owns and you spend it in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or you take time out of your day to be selfless and you spend part of your day in the service of Islam and the Muslims for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then understand this is not sacrifice. This is not sacrifice, because you can only sacrifice that which you own. You cannot sacrifice that which you don't own. I'll give you an example. If I gave you $100,000 and I said, keep this money for me, right? Keep it for me and I will let you know next week who to give this amount to. And I called you up the following week and I said, so-and-so, please can you go to so-and-so and give them the wealth or the amount that I left with you last week. and you said, okay, you went to them and you passed on the wealth. Do you have a right to tell that person, here's the 100,000 that I'm sacrificing? Do you? You don't. It's not your wealth. Somebody else has ownership over this wealth. You haven't sacrificed anything. You have just done someone a favor. So, if you can only sacrifice that which you own, understand that this time and this wealth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you spend it in His path, when you spend it the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you to, you have not sacrificed anything. Rather, you have invested it. La ilaha illallah. Thus the term investment. How have we invested it? Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need your wealth, nor does He need your time. Thus, when you are diligent and follow His commands, He rewards you. And when He rewarded you, this Jannah which you own, Allah made it bigger for you. Allah made it more beautiful for you. Allah made it closer to you. Thus, you invested, you spent, and you invested in that which you own. And this is investment. Whenever somebody invests money, they don't invest it to lose it. It's not called an investment, right? When you put money in an investment, you expect returns. When you spend this wealth which Allah owns, and you spend this time which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owns, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you, then you have invested it. Why? Because it has given you returns. Returns in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, granting you more blessings and more favors. La ilaha illallah. So think investment and do not think sacrifice. But there is a time when you do sacrifice. When is that? Dear viewers, we sacrifice, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, when we spend our time and we spend this wealth which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us against. We spend it on haram, or we earn it in a haram manner, or we spend our day observing haram. Then in this particular manner we can say we have sacrificed time. And this is when you tell somebody you have sacrificed time, and you never thank someone for sacrificing that time. You rebuke them and you tell them that you have done wrong. You have wasted time, you have sacrificed it. For when you live your life the wrong way, this Jannah which you own, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just may take it away from you. Right? Remember we said earlier, you place money in an investment and you lose it. We don't call that an investment, we call it a loss. So imagine if you lived your life in a way contradictory to the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul, and you lost your Jannah as a result. That is not an investment, it's a loss. So I hope I have shifted your paradigms, and I hope I have cleared the misconception. Thus the next time somebody does some good, don't thank them for sacrificing. Thank them for investing. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I love you all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.